One issue that we find right now in our society is this push coming from both theological sides of things as well as sort of the technocratic side of things. Like there are these books about toxic empathy, right? There's like a secular book about this that Elon Musk is a big fan of. And then there are books, I forget what I know one is, I forget both of the authors' names, but who've written theologically about the problem of empathy. And I think that that's because they recognize that if people see empathy as a good thing, it'll cause them to move away from certain types of political systems or ideas about the structure of society. Jason, to your point about charity, I think that's right. I think there is a problem with charity in terms of, as you say, rather than creating a structure in society that takes care of everyone, inequalities are allowed to remain, and charity is the way to allow those inequalities to remain. I do think we need to clarify language here about what we might mean by kingdom of God or kingdom of heaven, because particularly when you read Black liberation theologians, when you read people like I'm thinking about Walter Brueggemann, Walter Rauschenbusch, the social gospel guy. Like there is the sense that the kingdom of God is a reality of justice that is instantiated now, not just in the future. So it's not souls going to heaven. Because I do think that there is something a little, on the one hand, I think it's cool that religious people can be motivated to be compassionate towards others from a religious motivation that might be about the afterlife or personal reward, because some people have no motivation at all. But I do think there is this other understanding of what the kingdom of God is, that the kingdom, like the sense of well-being among other human beings, whether or not they're in the membership roles or not, is a part of that understanding of the kingdom of God, but not often one that was articulated in the conservative circles all of us were exposed to early on. When we talk about the kingdom of God, that a number of theologians speak of it as like, yes, there might be a perfect kingdom in the future, but we bear witness now to a better way of life. Because even the idea of like being saved, even the idea of going to heaven is based in the idea of humankind. It's the Irenaeus quote that God became man so that man could become God. That the glory of God is the human fully alive. Like there's that sense of fully aliveness which happens in the place of community and justice that many of these other theologians speak of when they talk about the kingdom of God now, which includes having just structures.
Well, can you maybe add more? Because both of y'all in your intro, well, maybe it's not even that. Maybe there's the question that I'm asking is like what we're taught and what we're seeing around the charity, around what the kingdom of God is, the way that I represented it and the way that you're clarifying that there's a divide there. I think the way you're trying to clarify it is not the mainstream narrative that most people get. Is that?
Yeah, no, because I mean, and this would go into the entire history of like the fundamentalist liberal divide in the history of American theology in particular, where you see historically certain, like John Wesley was actually pretty good about joining the idea of like a personal faith with social improvement, right, at a wide level. And over time, you see this split, particularly as there's this transition to a type of view of the end of the world that would say the world's just going to be destroyed. Why bother? And then you had this other stream of people who sort of called into question some traditional orthodoxy, but they saw the need for social improvement. And then others who at various points were like, Karl Barth is probably one of the greatest Protestant theologians of the 20th century, also a socialist. Reinhold Niebuhr, big influence on MLK, known for his Christian realism. So he's a socialist who believes in incremental improvement, but also believes that there are always going to be faults we have to struggle with in society because he still has a robust view of sin. MLK obviously has a strong theological idea about about a social democratic society, or about a democratic socialist or social democratic society. And I don't think it's any mistake that you see the sort of conservative side that we were raised in being opposed to things like the civil rights movement and things like that, right? There is this strong And unfortunately, we weren't raised in the side that believed in social improvement, many of us. We were raised in the side that, on the one hand, believed that the world was too evil to redeem, even though they wanted power to make it more Christian, in their own image, so to speak.